Okay, well, thanks for taking a look at my video today. I've got a few questions, from people that wanted to see a little bit more about the equipment that I use in my videos. For fishing, this is my Hobe. It is a Mirage Pro Angler 14 foot. So it's quite large, quite long. I don't plan at this time to do any backpacking or anything like that in it, or hitting a chain of lakes for multiple nights, but it certainly is the size and has the capacity to carry all my equipment, so camping and food and that kind of thing. But for me, it's a great platform for fishing, and so that's what I do with it. So I'll show you a little bit of my equipment. Play with the GoPro a little bit here. I'm not sure if it's aimed well enough. So this front compartment here is a dry compartment. Very secure, very tight, very nice and dry. The wind's blowing here right now. This is my battery for my depth finder, and this thing is amazing. It is I could fish all week, 2 or 3 hours a day, all week long, and I end up with less than a quarter of the battery power used. So it's really great. These other wires here are for nav lights that I've added. I haven't spliced them into the wiring yet, but that same battery pack will will power that as well. You can see this here, the other side here. And I have right here, I just have my fishing license and actually a photocopy of my driver's license. And again, it's in a dry bag and it's duct taped to the side, so it's not going anywhere. So I always have that in case Fish and Wildlife decide to check me out. And like I said, this is very secure. And my nav lights that I added there, I'm hoping to get out on Puget Sound towards the end of the summer, and we'll see how that goes. So I've got my knotless net for catch and release, which is my preference on most fishing trips. If I kept all the fish that I had, I would have no room in my freezer for ribeyes or even hamburger. So this comes in really handy. It's very gentle on the fish, got a lot of give to it. This particular kayak actually has a setup here for a mast right here, and that's actually where I stick my rod that's holding my GoPro camera up about here. So that's what I use that for. Handy to have. These rail systems are kind of a Hobe favorite way of attaching stuff, but because I have these railings, they made these really short on each side. So for me right now, they haven't been super helpful. If I could find or make a unit that would go up and over to hold my GoPro, that would be great, but haven't got around to that yet. Too busy fishing. Electrical cable and information cable for the Lowrance for GPS, as well as depth finder, chart. It's got everything on it. It's pretty fancy. This came with the Yak when I bought it, and I'm glad, because it's probably fancier than the one I would have picked out myself. I've got 2 rod holders. This guy right here, which is really nice. This is a solid Canon type rod holder, and this is my preference. I think I'm going to change the fish on one on the other side out to this same type. Just there's no moving parts. It's simple to operate, simple to get my rod in and out of there with a fish strike. I've got a lake trolling Scotty downrigger. So far I've only had opportunity to use it one time, but it works. This is one of the sweet parts about this kayak is if I take and slide the handle forward, and just by turning this, I can raise the seat, this front edge of the seat. The other one tilts the seat back, and this is just incredibly comfortable seat. It's called a Vantage. It is by Hobe, but they're not cheap, but man, oh man, if you got a couple of bucks to spend, these seats, I would buy this seat before I even upgraded to better set of pedals. It's that comfortable. Some storage down here, 2 tackle boxes fit in there real nicely, and they're right between my knees, so it's easy to get at those. Let's see, a leash for one of my rods on this side here, because I wasn't sure how this would work under a heavy strike, and it actually works pretty good. So I'm going to go without the leash for right now. We'll see how that continues to go. We've got the Hobe paddle. It breaks apart in half. So if you're going on a long day travel, once you get launched, you can break that paddle in half, and it sits in here, right? So it would ride in the back, out of your way, like so, and you've got a latch to tie it down with. This might be better up underneath there, something like that. This is also a small storage. I think you'd have to have a dry bag that would go down in that to keep your equipment dry. Let's see, keep going around, you know, the safety flag thing. I kind of go overboard on that. I just don't want to hassle with the state patrol or sheriff or something. Okay, this is my other rod holder and for fishing, and then this is my rod holder here. I don't know if you, hopefully you can see that. It's got a nice little bungee tightener there, and these rods slip all the way up to the nose, clear up to the bow on the kayak, and they're out of the way, which is really nice. They're nice and held sturdy. Let's see what else. There's one of these handles on each side, and they operate the rudder, so you can turn it with 2 hands or 1, doesn't matter. It turns quite easily. And then my motor, which are these pedals right here, and these things are awesome. A lot more energy distributed directly to moving the yak as opposed to the rotational ones. And what's nice about this set is I actually have a reverse, so I can pull on this, pedal once, and it's in reverse, and I can haul just as fast backwards as I can forwards. A little crazy for steering, but it works. It's really nice. So I'm going to try to show you underneath here if I can. So there's the paddles, and they stroke back and forth as I move the pedals, and because of the way they're designed, as they go back and forth, they rotate. It's like a fin, and so they paddle really quite well, and they latch in, and they are not coming out of there. On the side here, I've got a system for tying on an anchor into this section here between the 2 rings, and then I can just reach over the side here and pull this and move my anchor attachment forward and back, depending on how the wind is blowing the yak around. So that works out, and that works really well, and is really nice to have as well. I was just manhandling this out of my truck, so my lines are not where they would be normally. What else? The depth finder is a Lowrance hook, and it's full color. It's got charts like crazy. Only the very smallest lakes are not in there, and it also includes all the coastal waters, and this is the lakes and coastal waters of the United States are in this Lowrance. So it's pretty impressive amount of memory, and it picks up where you're at and matches that to the charts that it has in memory. And so there's no SD card or anything. It came with the unit itself. And then, aside from the motor, the number 2 greatest thing about this are the wheels. You can see them underneath. There's 2 of them. This is the position that you would be moving the kayak in and out of the water, or from your vehicle to the water, or vice versa. And when you get into the water, just in a foot or 2 of water, if you got your waders on, or if it's warmer and you're in water shoes of some kind, you just take and pull this plug right here out, stick it there, lift up the back of the yak, right? Just lift it up, the back here, lift that up, and the wheels fall out, You just pick them up, turn them around, and stick them right back in the holes the other way, and the wheels go with you. But this thing is awesome. It's very stable. In fact, if you look closely, you can even see that right here is kind of a place that's not going to get slippery. And you can actually, this is actually made for standing up in. That's how stable this is. It'll handle up to 600 pounds is the max capacity. I'm fat, but I'm nowhere near that fat, so that's kind of nice. But that means you can stand up in this and fly fish, for instance, or cast into the weeds for bass, and then into the lily pads or into the docks for bass, without having to worry about, you know, a smaller kayak. Some of those get kind of tippy, and that's not going to happen with this. So I hope that answers everybody's questions, but if not, shoot me an email. You can go to kayakingitup.com, which is my website, and shoot me an email from there. And there's also a link there to my YouTube channel with the videos of the lakes I've been fishing in, and I generally upload one at least once a week on Sunday morning, and I invite you to come and join along with me, and maybe between the two of us we can do more catching than just fishing. Thanks a lot.